Hey guys, welcome back to Crumbs Doilies HQ, and today we've got a good one for you. You're going to get a recipe for these. Now this is a chocolate salted caramel macaron, and who better to show you how to make macarons than our very own Macarena Dane, or otherwise known as Macaron Dane over here, who is going to show you how to make every single element of this. So over to you, Dane. I'm just going to eat this.
Cool, hi guys, so I'm back with another macaron recipe, and this one is an absolute banger. We've got salted caramel chocolate macarons, and so first what we're going to do is start with our ground almonds and icing sugar. I've got 160 grams of icing sugar and 170 grams of ground almonds, to which I'm going to add 45 grams of cocoa powder straight into the bowl. And we've already sifted the ground almonds and icing sugar, so I'm just going to give that a whisk together to combine it. And it's going to go straight into our metal bowl. I prefer to use a metal bowl to make the mixture, just because you can clean it a lot easier, so it's free of grease, so it won't affect the mixture. So I've got 2 lots of egg whites weighed out. I've got 72 grams in each bowl, and 1 lot is going to go straight into this bowl. I'm just going to give that a mix together with a spatula, just until it's a nice thick paste. This mix is a little bit drier than my regular recipe, so it might take a few more moments for it to come together, but don't worry, persist and it will get there. So I'm just going to set this to one side whilst we get on with our sugar syrup. So over here on this counter on the hob, I've got a saucepan ready to put in 210 grams of caster sugar. And then I've got 70 millilitres of cold water going in the pan also. So I'm going to get the hob onto a medium heat, and this will create a syrup ready for the base of our Italian meringue. That's on the hob. We want to get that to 118 degrees Celsius, and whilst that's going, we want to start whipping our egg whites, but we don't want to start whipping them too early, so we'll wait until this is around 100, 105, 110 degrees, and then we'll go over there and get our egg whites started. So now we're going to get our bowl and our egg whites prepared. So this bowl, I've already cleaned it with some vinegar. It just gets all the grease out of there, and also the whisk too. And then we've got our separate batch of egg whites, which is 72 grams in here. Pop that straight into the mixer, ready for when the sugar is at the correct temperature. So our sugar's at 105 and it's creeping up, so let's get our egg whites on the go. So I'm going to start it on a medium speed and just whack it up to high. Now, a few problems that you guys were having with your egg whites and macarons in general is that you would get hollows in the shell. Now, sometimes that can be because you over whip your egg whites. So I'm going to show you the consistency there should be before we add the sugar syrup. So this is how your egg whites should be. They're not super stiff, but they're whipped up and they've got kind of a flop. They're almost like bubble bathy. So egg whites are ready. I'm going to quickly grab my sugar syrup. It's at 118 degrees. And then we're going to pour it down the side of the bowl, in between the whisk and the bowl, carefully not touching it, just in a steady stream. So that is all of our syrup in the bowl, and then we're just going to whisk this until it gets to room temperature. It's nice and cool. It's super hot at the moment, so we don't want to do anything with it just yet. So that's it. Our meringue has cooled a lot now. It's kind of at room temperature, and this is the consistency that you want your meringue. So it's nice and glossy and shiny, and when you kind of bounce it around with the whisk, flop it over, and there's a nice peak on it like this. It's flopped over. So I'm going to tap all of the excess meringue off the whisk so that we don't waste any. Pop this to one side, and then what we're going to do is get our spatula back and scrape around the edge of the bowl. So there shouldn't be any little wispy bits of sugar syrup if you poured it in the correct spot. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my meringue and pop it into the mixture that we made earlier, just to kind of loosen it up. So the meringue is all mixed in and there's no streaks of white, and you can see that the colour of this paste is a lot lighter and lighter in texture too. And it will make it easier for us to fold the rest of the meringue into this mixture. So the first part of the meringue I mixed in quite vigorously, but with this part you want to be a little bit more gentle and have a nice folding action. So I'm going around the bowl, lifting the mixture up, and I'm cutting through the middle as well, being careful not to knock too much air out of the mixture. This mix is ready now and it's at a good consistency. So I've got a piping bag with a small round nozzle. These piping bags are actually available on Cupcake Jemma if you want one. They're really sturdy. So I'm going to pop this into the bag like so. So the texture of this mixture is kind of flowing really nicely. It doesn't drop too soon. It's really thick and it's kind of like molten lava-iness. So that's all in the bag, and I'm just gonna push it down to the end and then twist the end so it doesn't come out of this end. So we're ready to pipe onto our baking sheets. I've lined it with some greaseproof paper. Now I'm just gonna wing this because I've done it a few times and I feel pretty confident, but if you're not as confident and this is your first time making macarons, you can use a template. I've printed out a really simple one here, or you can draw on the paper just with pencil on the reverse. So you've got something, a guideline to go with. So let's get piping. So that is the last one. So we need to do two more things before they go in the oven. We need to tap this on the table. That just releases any air bubbles that are in the mixture. They bring them to the surface and then you'll get a nice smooth shell with no kind of craters in the top. So it's quite loud, so I'm just going to do this a couple times. Sometimes if you can see little air pockets in there, you can get a cocktail stick and just poke and wiggle it around. I've done that before in a previous video. So these are ready to go on the racks. They're going to sit for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the weather. If it's a bit more humid, they might take a little bit longer just to form a skin on the top, and then they'll be ready to bake. So these have had about 20 to 30 minutes. They've formed a skin and they're not tacky on top, so they're going to go in the oven at 165 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 12 minutes. So what we're going to do now is make the filling. So we've got dual filling, but we're going to make one and split it in half. So we're going to make a dry caramel, which is some caster sugar. I've got 220 grams of caster sugar, and that's going into the saucepan. Because it's a dry caramel, no water involved, and we'll get the hob onto a medium heat. And what you'll see the sugar do around the edge is kind of melt and go a little bit golden. As that happens, just bring with your wooden spoon into the center and just keep doing that until all the sugar is completely melted. So the sugar is all melted and it's nice and liquid and golden. I'm just going to take it off of the hob and pour in our cream slowly but surely. Just a little bit at a time. It's going to bubble up, but you don't want to pour all of it in at once because then the mixture might seize and clump up into one big lump, which we do not want. Okay, so the rest of the cream is all in, and we're just going to mix that until it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take out just 3/4 of this to put in some chocolate for the ganache filling. I'm going to pour that into a separate bowl. I've got 75 grams of 54% chocolate. That's going straight in. I'm just going to whisk it in so it's nice and smooth. And then to the 1/4 left in the pan, I'm just going to add 15 grams of butter, and that's going to be the center filling for our macarons. So we're just going to pop both of these in the fridge to chill for about an hour, so they're nice and firm and ready to pipe and fill our macarons. Okay, so I'm back. We've got our macarons. They're ready and baked and cooled down completely. I've paired them up in rows just so they're similar sizes, and when I fill it I can plop the top straight on. I've got my filling put in a piping bag already, straight from the fridge. It's nice and cool and ready to go, and also the liquid caramel. I've added some sea salt to this. I added sea salt flakes. I quite like the little crunch, so we're gonna get filling. So that is all of them complete. They look really cool and they're great as they are, but I'm gonna make them a little bit extra special with some gold leaf. So I've got a sheet here and I've got 2 paintbrushes and a little bit of vodka that I'm gonna adhere it with. So I'm just gonna take my small paintbrush and start painting on where I want the gold leaf to go. So I've got a dry paintbrush and then I'm just getting my little bit of gold leaf and kind of patting it on the macaron where I put the vodka so it's nice and wet so it'll stick to it. So that is the last one finished, all gold leafed.
These look so nice.
Yeah, they look cool, don't they?
They do, they look really glamorous.
Yes.
Glamorous. Would you put these in the fridge before you eat them?
Definitely in the fridge, especially these because the filling, we were able to pipe it, but it's so much better if you just leave it for a good overnight, I would say 24 hours, just to let it really set into the shell. That
is almost too long for me. So I might break those rules in a minute and just have one on the sly. But thanks, Dane. Well, another great macaron recipe from our very favourite macaron maker, Dane. Don't forget you can check Dane's Instagram out where he takes lots of beautiful pictures of cakes and cookies and things that he eats, but also his amazing skincare regime.
Thanks, Gemma.
It's all right, little plug. Well, we'll be back next week with another recipe, but in the meantime, you must make these, and please do take a picture on Instagram. Use the hashtag CupcakeJemma so we can see it.
Yep.
At me, at Dane, at Crumbs Doilies. Let's just at everyone.
Yeah.
What else is there to say about life?
Well, we just have to eat them now.
Oh, well that's great. I mean, since I've had to take it easy, my job's got a whole lot easier. I just get to eat stuff.
You just come in, eat the stuff and leave, basically.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
cheers.
Cheers. Mmm. Yum, yum.
These are good.
Are good. Are you surprised?
Yeah. Surprised myself.
This is why you have to put them in the fridge, because dripping happens. Bye, guys.